When I left Pismo Beach, it was foggy, so I took Highway 101 to Santa Cruz. I wanted to take the big Basin Highway, but it was closed. I did enjoy Highway 9 instead, through Castle Rock State Park. On to San Jose and the awesome Highway 130 to Lick Observatory. I then cruised I-5 past Sacramento to my final rest at Dunnigan. So yeah, it started out super foggy this morning, and that's not so surprising. It's very foggy along the coast. I quickly got into the mountains, and as you can see, the fog was disappearing. It left a neat impression here along the side of the road though. But once it was behind me, I was off, and boy did I have some good things planned today. I was soon at Santa Cruz, California's quintessential surfing town. Apparently surfing started here in 1885 when 3 visiting Hawaiian princes surfed on some redwood planks. But also here is the incredible 2,700 foot long wharf. Apparently it's the largest wharf of its kind on the west coast. What I really remember though is taking my kids to the beach boardwalk and the various amusements they have there. From Santa Cruz, I took Highway 9 north past Ben Lomond to Boulder Creek. There I had expected to take the 236 highway, or the Big Basin Highway, through the mountains. However, that road was closed, so I continued along on Highway 9, but I was looking for something a little more. However, once I passed Redwood Grove, the traffic died away, the forest became thicker, and the road became twistier. This was turning into quite a motorcycle road. The key stretch for me was between San Lorenzo Park and the Saratoga Gap Open Space Preserve. This includes a stretch past Castle Rock State Park. It was incredibly scenic, and I really enjoyed the ride. It felt somewhat surreal. I was less than an hour from San Francisco and much closer to San Jose, and yet it felt I was out in the boondocks on a mountain road with very little traffic and no real hint of civilization. So you have to understand, I'd spent several hours on the interstates trying to get here, and the interstates, while they're fast, are not particularly exciting. And then when I got here, the road I'd expected to take, the 236, was closed. So I really had no idea what to expect, other than probably traffic snarls and congestion, since I was this close to a major city. But now here I was, almost in solitude, traveling down a road at my own speed, just enjoying the heck out of this ride. And what was better is I decided to take a slight detour, and things got even more interesting. I turned off the highway onto Skyline Boulevard and traveled that for a while. I was intending to take it all the way, but on a whim, I decided to turn left when I saw an interesting looking road on the side, and that was Black Road. And boy, was that ever a great decision. While Highway 9 had been twisty, I could travel it at relatively high speed, which was certainly enjoyable, but Black Road was a different experience. Even more twisty, even more narrow, this was a road you had to cautiously traverse. It was not for high-speed traveling. It reminded me so much of the Ross Durant's Road back home, a super narrow, twisty lane going through the forest. This was a delight. Black Road had been entirely my discovery, but for the next stage of my journey, I owe it all to the whimsy of Google Maps guidance. I wanted to go to the Lick Observatory, and Google decided to take me along Quimby Road. I was headed to an observatory high in the mountains, so clearly there would be a twisty road, and it wasn't long before I encountered this sign: not recommended for RVs, truck trailers, car trailers. That's always a good sign for a motorcycle road. And it was a great motorcycle road. It had all the right twists and turns. It was a brilliant sunny day, and I knew I was going to a great destination. It had everything I could want. However, there was a little bit of traffic. I ended up stuck behind this one truck on this route that it says no truck should really go, but it was a delivery truck, and you can see it had to get there. But it was struggling. It was hitting branches. It had to reverse once to get around a sharp corner. There was just nowhere for me to go to pass it. And this white car didn't really help. But finally he found a little turnout, so he pulled over, and that allowed me to go. And just, if you got a chance, check out my rearview mirror. There's a red car behind me that also wants to go. So I'm looking for my opportunity, and there haven't been many, but here I am as we go around this corner. I finally spot my chance, and I take off once I know it's clear. And so does the red car. I just clear this road, and zoom, right up behind me comes the red Tesla. And he's going, I don't know how fast, because I'm going a good clip. And we both go right past this cop car. Oops. I thought for sure he was going to catch at least the red car, hopefully not me. But it turns out he never left his spot. Maybe he'd already caught someone and was still doing the paperwork, or maybe he saw the truck and just forgave us. Anyway, we got off scot-free this time. Once past the truck, the rest of the route was excellent motorcycling experience. It was up and down over a ridge of mountains overlooking San Jose City and area. It ended up over by the Joseph B. Grant County Park and Highway 130, which would take me to my next destination, which was the Lick Observatory. So what makes a great motorcycle road? Because this may just be the greatest motorcycle road I've been on in all of California. You're obviously looking for great twisty turns, and this road has that in spades. You're probably thinking it'd be nice to have the smell of the woods and the sense of the environment, a nice sunny bright day of sunshine, excellent views. This road just seemed to have everything. This is Mount Hamilton Road, aka Highway 130, and here's a picture of all the twists and turns that I'm doing on this route. Quite amazing.
Sometimes my timing's perfect.
It's a bit hard to tell, but I'm actually looking back at some of the road that I've taken to get up to this place. It's so amazing.
Awesome.
The road itself was in great condition. There was some debris, but it was clear that they also swept it regularly. And here I get my first glimpses of where the observatories are high in the hills ahead. It always seemed so close, but there was actually so many more turns and twists to do before I got there. It was an optical illusion of sorts. You would see the observatory and think, I'm nearly there, but you weren't. And that was great, because this is such a fantastic road, you didn't really want the ride to end. And that is a great feeling. Anybody in San Francisco, this is absolute must-do. Anyone in California, you need to get yourself here. This is just an absolutely brilliant road. And this is one of the very few guardrails. You can see they put one there. I guess maybe someone went over there. But right here, there's a corner that's pretty much the same thing, and it's a big enough drop. But, no guardrails required. Of course, all great roads must come to an end. And I was close to the end of this one, Lick Observatory. Lick Observatory is owned by the University of California. It began operations in 1888, so it's been in service for a heck of a long time. James Lick gifted $700,000, which was the largest philanthropic gift to science in history. It's equivalent to $1.2 billion today. Not a bad donation, Mr. Lick. Thank you very much. By putting this observatory here, you've given me one of the best motorcycle roads I've ever ridden. I would have thought, being this close to the Bay Area, there would be a lot of light coming into the night sky and potentially wrecking the observatory's effectiveness. Well, it may be to some degree, but this is still an active observatory, and apparently on any given day, there's 100 different researchers using the facilities. So once again, Mr. Lick, what you started has been a real boon to society, and that's a great thing. It's a tight turn here, but I'm finally at the top, and I'm going to take a peek around and see the views.
So, there's the road. And it stretches off to the right and all through the mountains. Quite a long road. Very twisty. Great for motorcycles. Wow. There's a UPS truck coming up. Not so great for them.
Of course, I still had to come out of the mountains, and I had a terrific motorcycle ride still ahead of me. It was interesting though, on this side of the observatory, heading over the mountains east towards the big valley and the I-5, the road conditions were considerably worse. They weren't horrible, but a lot more patched, and you can see the clearing the dirt off probably was taking longer. It was just, I guess, a bit more out of the way. Perhaps this was a different county. I don't know the details, but it was significant, the change in the road conditions. Given the many years of drought in California, I was somewhat surprised at the amount of greenery in these mountains. However, it's close to the ocean, and there's a fair bit of fog, and that would bring a certain amount of water, even if it doesn't actually rain. The further east I went, however, the less that was the case, and the drier it became. I knew eventually it would become very desert-like. This area was home to many ranches, and that seemed like a good use for the land. In the San Antonio Valley, the wildflowers were in full bloom. These ones, I believe, are known as gold fields for relatively obvious reasons. After the San Antonio Valley, it's back to the mountains. And there's really some quite rugged mountains here. They definitely had to blast their way through to get the road to follow this river that we're traveling along. Now, the country here gets quite remote again, which I always like. I like traveling in a road where there's very little traffic and I can just go at the pace that I like to go at. So this was really perfect for me. But if you're thinking of going to the Lick Observatory and maybe just returning back to the Bay Area, you might want to reconsider. This is a good route, and out here there's also the Rains OHV area, an area where you can take an off-road vehicle and drive around in the real bush. So there's some interesting things you can do out here, and it's great country. So give it a thought. It's worth the extended trip. As I gaze at the little creek, really, I wouldn't call it a river, that runs beside the road here in this mountain pass, it always strikes me as odd. It's so funny to think that the river and the erosion is what made these mountain passes. All of this dirt was slowly moved out by the flow and force and persistence of these sometimes very tiny rivers. Quite amazing. I'm now in the foothills, past the mountains, and nearing Highway I-5. From that point on, it's really just a blitz down the freeway towards and beyond Sacramento. And I'll spare you the details of that, but thanks for sharing this time with me. I had a super ride. I highly recommend this route. Enjoy your day. Hey, I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next ride.